Yeah. Then we can start. Should we wait for a while? Right. Okay. So I'll just finish the question so that we can let people join in. So the thing is that then he came and he met the director, and as I told you, he said that you're the boss, and I will come and meet you. You don't have to come and meet me. I think that's profound because so easily I've worked with a lot of people, or I've known a lot of people who would be VVIPs and all those people, and even VIPs. VVIP तो बहुत बड़ी बात है. इस देश में VIP की तो कमी नहीं है ना. हर दूसरा आदमी VIP है. So I've met so many people who let the slightest success get into their head. So they would change, their conversation would change, and the way they interact with people would completely transform. Their expectations of how they're treated would completely transform. Any little mistake which happens, they would get very angry at it, and they lose a sense of humility. I think what makes great people truly great, so you can be good, you can be very good, you can be super good, but you can't be great. And the difference between good and great is the fact that the great know their ground. They know where they stand, and they may have their head in the sky, but they'll never lose control of where they stand. And those people never slip off, and that's why they remain to be great. Sustainable, great people are great, humble people. They're curious, they're humble, they're not afraid of criticism, and they are okay to give respect to other people. So when you grow in life, which you will, I'm sure, at a steady pace, when you get into career, you'll get more juniors. Some of you might have juniors if you're not in the first year. There'll be people in second year, third year. So in life, there'll be always somebody who looks up to you, right? Whether it's a junior in college, a junior in school, with somebody who's looking for an advice on how to get into VIT. And when you get into the job, there'll be people who you will be working, as their bosses. And when you come and you recruit them, perhaps. As you move in life, remember that the more you go upwards, the more humble you should become. And if it cannot come to you naturally, force it upon yourself. Swallow it like a bitter pill. Remind yourself every morning, I need to be humble. Because the world around you will do everything to make you haughty and somebody who's, in life in the seventh sky. But that shouldn't happen. Remember that. That's going to make you happy. Otherwise, there's no happiness. You'll be in a rat race. The rat race begins with losing humility. The moment you lose humility, you become a rat and you become a part of the race. So that is something which you should avoid. Right? Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir. You have written quite a few books, right? So how did that journey start, sir, of you becoming an author?
Just a second. There's some people who are asking me for the link which I had sent, and they're saying the link is expired, so I need to send them the new link. See, I think the journey as an author is a very it happened. So what happened was that I was writing, even in my school days, I used to write a bit. I never wrote a book though. But then we were working, Dr. Kalam and I, we were working on this concept called PURA, providing urban amenities in rural areas for the government. And then Dr. Kalam said, why don't we write a book? So it was his idea. He said, oh, we'll write a book together. I said, okay, that's a little too much for me. But I thought, okay, why not? Let's try. So when I was, about 20 26, 27, 26 years old. Yeah, I was 26 years old back then. So he said that, why don't you write? And my co-author was 3 times my age and several times my stature, right? 100 times perhaps or 1,000 times. And we wrote a book together. It's called Target 3 Billion. That was how it happened. It was his idea to start writing. Of course, I did a lot of research on it. I had to read a lot of books. To write a fiction book, you have to imagine a lot. But to write a non-fiction book, you have to not only imagine, you have to read a lot. There's a lot of reading, and your comprehension ability should be extremely swift. And that's how you'd be able to synthesize anything. So typically, I realize that to write a book, one book, you have to read at least 100 books. I'm not saying you have to read cover to cover, but you have to read 100 books in some form, right? So it's not really like you have to, get 100 books and read from cover to cover and then start writing a book. But yeah, you have to refer to 100 plus books. Have a look at the index. One thing you should look at a book is the index, the last, the bibliography or the index or whatever else they call it. And the good books have 40, 50 pages of references. The good books will have it. So if a book is a 300-page book, 50 pages will be references. I've seen people like William Dalrymple, 50 pages will be references. You don't even look at it, right? But it is there. And it just shows that what great work has gone in putting this act together, right? So this is what it is. Read books, Sometimes you guys get into thinking that YouTube ka video dekh karke you will get all the knowledge. But I'll tell you, and that's good. I mean, I like that. I also do that. But then the point is when you read, then you actually get depth of it. It's a different depth which you can go while you're reading. Because then you're imagining in your own head. Why do people say that Harry Potter movie was not good, but the book was better? Why do you say that? The same thing is written up. It should be better, right? You see the visuals and it should be better. It's more appealing, there's sound to it and all that. But why does it happen? Because you do not. I may imagine somebody else as Harry Potter, and somebody else may imagine somebody else. Depending on your mental frame, you imagine Harry Potter, right? You fit your characters accordingly because your imagination is strong. I wonder who imagines Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter. Right? So the moment that happens, your sense of imagination is lost. So that's why it's important to read. That's why reading is a very enjoyable process. So that is something which you should cultivate. Okay. Next.
So do you think the government is doing enough to prevent this deep-rooted evil, which is corruption? And what do you think, what can we do to prevent to uproot the causes and prevent the situation?
So a lot of things are in the question. It's sort of difficult to answer it in a 1 minute response. Do you think the government is doing enough to tackle corruption? Well, the government is doing a few things to tackle corruption. Is it perfectly tackling corruption? No, it is not. If it was, then corruption would have been sorted. Are there obvious solutions which could have been done and have not been done? Yes, I would say that. And that is something where I would stand up because I wrote a book called Black Tiger. I don't know whether you've heard of it or not. Because Black Tiger is on simple ideas to remove corruption. Very simple ideas. What is the corruption which sort of hurts you a lot? Like things like, say, like the corruption which happens in traffic, for instance. Take that example. You guys are technologists, and between two technologists, we can tell you 20 ideas in which you can completely eliminate traffic corruption. It's so easy. The artificial intelligence can make it happen. You can easily find out which vehicle is going at what speed. You can easily find out who's going ulta lane mein, who's going seedha lane mein. You can completely eliminate all ye jo officers hote hain, jo इस पे होते हैं चुंगी पर होते हैं when the goods move from octroi duty and all. अब तो octroi बंद हो गया, but they used to take taxes and all. The overloading of trucks, for example, is a massive source of corruption. I can design an AI. You can do it, and we can work together. If anyone of you wants to work with me on these tools, we would love to do that. I would love to have people of your caliber. I can tell you the problem. I can tell you the solution. You can develop it for me. Make an AI tool by which you can actually figure out a truck. So a truck is loaded like this, right? It's a square block or a cube. If anything is overloaded, the cube becomes a different shape. It becomes like a trapezium, right? It's so easy. How difficult it is to detect using a computer a trapezium versus a cube. It's not difficult at all. And the report can simply, find out if the challan is true or not. You can completely eliminate overloading in trucks, which is a huge source of corruption. You can completely, or at least 90% of trucks falling over left and right, you can eliminate that, which is a major source of road accidents and death on highways. You can eliminate, so you can save so many lives. Now the thing is, we don't believe that people like you can solve it. That's the biggest problem. Our institutions do not believe that you guys can solve anything other than age-old problems which are given from one batch to another, which are fictitious problems which do not exist, have no real life impact. I think young people like yourself and all of you are great programmers, are great electrical, mechanical, whatever else engineering you're doing. And you can do so much just using your computer. But you need to have your faith first. Before I have faith in you, you need to have faith in yourself. Right? Such a thing happened. So how difficult it is, tell me. I mean, if you're a computer engineer, tell me. How difficult it is to make, map a photograph and figure out if the tarpaulin, which is a common color, by the way, it's like a green screen, right? And you can find out what is the shape of it. It's how difficult it is. How difficult it is to say that, no, this truck is overloaded or not using just a photo. And that photo could be by the roadside or at the place where it goes, like a speedometer can take a photo as well. And yet we would not do it. So what I'm trying to tell you is that before we say the government has done enough or not, let's talk about, have we done enough or not? Have we gone ahead and said, I'm going to solve it? So today, Archie Verma is going to say, I'm going to solve this problem. I'm a great programmer. I'm going to solve it. I'm going to get over with 3 more people and I'm going to be guided by someone like me or anybody else and work as a team together. And we will, at the end of the next 1 week, come up with this code and let's see what happens. Right? That's what it is. You have to create your own footprint. And believe in the world will respect you for that. If you want to apply to some higher college at any stage in life, this will be the thing which will work. Not your topper. If you become the topper of BIT, well, Howard is or any other institution is getting the topper from every institution. So that's not a big deal. The real big deal is what difference you've created at a small age. That's something which you can do. So do it. So government has done or not doesn't matter. Government has done a few things. You do a few things. Some problems will be solved. Some will remain. Somebody else will solve them. But have you made the world better? Right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. So if anyone of you is interested to work with me on any such project, there are 10 different ideas which I can work with. Right? Especially the ones who know how to do AI. Because massive things. I'll give you just a random idea. You give me a sector and I'll give you an idea. Education, for instance, we're designing a product right now by which we're saying we're going to give a small device of 2,000 rupees to every kid. That device will not only carry all the curriculum, but will also, using the camera, map whether the kid is interested in what he's listening to or not by mapping the eye size. So you can figure out if the eyes are dilating, if the expression of the face. You can actually find out whether the person is sad or happy. It's the API is available, so you don't even need to design it. You just need to plug it in, and you can find out whether the child is happy or not, whether the kid is present or not, whether he's seeing or whether aankhein band karke so raha hai. All that you can find out, and you can digitize all the classrooms. And the moment you do that, we can get the best educators to teach the last mile kid. Then the last mile kid who's the son of whatever, जिसके below poverty line parents हैं या parents ही नहीं हैं, हम उसको best teacher दे सकते हैं. We can give them the best teacher. Why don't we do this? Why do you take up those old projects which are like hackneyed projects in every year of engineering जो सामने की photocopy की दुकान पे मिलता है, right? You know that what I'm saying, right? Every engineer does that. So why I have to make that mistake? You shouldn't make that mistake. Don't lose this opportunity. You're in the best phase of your life where you don't have to worry about earning anything right now. The moment you get out of this life, you will have to worry about whether I'll be able to sustain financially or not. Right now, you don't have to worry. So you can plunge into anything you want. Okay, good.
Last question, sir.
Yeah,
What are 2 things you want to see in India before this 2020 gets over? There are a few things, we worry about a lot and we want to change. Is there anything you want to change in India, sir? Or want to see a change?
No, see, if you're giving me only 6 months or less than 6 months now, then what can be changed is the attitude. I think 2 things have to be done. First of all, we need to get rid of victimization attitude. Nobody's a victim of anything. Okay? You are in control of your life. You are in control of your decisions. You are in control of your finances, your relationships, everything you are in control of. And the things which you're not in control of, you are in control of not bothering about them. Right? So if somebody else is controlling something, don't bother about it. That's your control. So do understand that you are in absolute control of all your life, everything. So it actually makes me sad when, people in your age group, slightly higher, successful people. For example, take the case of this guy. this actor, Srijan Pal Singh, his suicide. It makes me sad, right? The whole life is in front of him. He's 34 years old. The whole life in front of him. He could have, acted for the next 70, not until 70, 35 years, right? And 2-3 years of other people ignoring him puts him off to the level where he says, I'm not going to even struggle. I don't think that is the right attitude to inherit. No matter how sad you are, no matter what goes wrong, life may, hit you with so many zeros. But you need to struggle on. And that's the struggle. That's every successful person will go through a zero. Whether Steve Jobs was thrown out of his own company, you know that. Pixar threw him out and then had to bring him back and he made Apple out of it. Microsoft, it hit a zero several times. This guy, Elon Musk, hit a zero so many times. So many times he was ignored when he said that I'm asking for investment to put private missions into space. People laughed at him. It happens to everyone. But out of those zeros come out the great ideas. So you need to not be afraid of hitting zero. If you do, that's okay. If you're trying hard enough, you'll hit a zero. So that attitude of victimization has to go out. You're not a victim of anything. And if you're hitting a zero, maybe that is because you're trying on a very hard mission. If you go and climb Mount Everest, the chances are that you'll be unsuccessful, at least the first time. But if you try to climb that little hill on, behind your VIT campus, you'll probably do it in 5 minutes. But they can say, I'm the king of the hill. But are you? Right? So don't be afraid of trying on difficult missions because of the fear of failure, because you're the only judge. That's attitude number one. Attitude number two I want to change in this country is the fact that we need to stop derogating our own nation. Okay? So you belong to the oldest surviving civilization in the history of humankind. And that's a great thing. Nobody can say that, right? And if we derogate our own society, whether it's present or it's past, I think it's a cultural suicide. You cannot be great nation without feeling great about the nation. I'm not saying that you should say that everything which you do is right. No, it's not. Every nation has mistakes. Every society has mistakes, and we introspect and we survive and we improve out of it. But to say that this whole idea that everything in this country is going to the dogs is absolutely untrue, right? The moment anything happens, we get all critics raising up in arms. And there's a difference between political criticism and national criticism, right? You can criticize your political opponent, it's your business, you should do it, right? Everybody does that. Whoever is in power is criticized by the opposition, that's fine. But at no point as citizens who are non-aligned, you don't belong to a political party and neither do I. We should not make political debates so strong between us, right? To the extent that it starts getting into a point of, it becomes a national criticism. We shouldn't do that. And if I may add the third thing, as a youngster, I must tell you one thing. Remember one thing, and since the political debate thing come off, I am seeing one trend which I want to change. You guys don't get excited about, you don't catch rage about, not excited is fine, but you don't get very angry about anything other. So you don't get angry about music or pictures or actors or anything, right? I can criticize them and you'll not be angry. But why is it that you get so angry about politics? Why? It doesn't even, you're not in politics. You don't get hard graded into any political side, ever. Unless you are a politician. Be open